4:30. Everybody's time's important, so let's get her cranked up. Call order at 4:30, starting with our roll call. Let's start us out, Mr. Chowdhury,
Sabji Chaudhary.
and welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Bacon present.
Fig present.
Zalid present.
Keequan present.
Milky present.
Bars present.
Coin present.
Seeing we have a quorum, we'll move on to item 3, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Support.
Got a motion by Melky, support by Coin, to approve tonight's agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same.
Is this gonna be added to the agenda or what?
That'll be covered under direct comments.
Oh,
It's not an official agenda.
Okay. all right. Support. Or, yeah, aye.
All in favor, aye. Say aye. All opposed, same. And the agenda is approved. Moving on to item number 4, approval of the meeting minutes from March 21st, regular meeting.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Motion by Fig,
I'll support.
motion by Fig, support by Zalid, to approve the March 21st, 2023 regular meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And the minutes are approved. Going on to agenda item number 5, correspondence. Everything there? Moving on to item 6, public comment. Anybody? Anybody online? Randy?
Any comments?
No comments? No, I'm kidding. So moving on to item 7, reports. Accounts payable.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's start with the accounts payable for the East DDA. We have a payment to Block Electric for $225. This was to install the new gateway banners for the spring. And then we have a payment to the Township, Charter Township of Union, for utilities at 3 properties for the first quarter 2023. That's basically a sewer charge. There's sewer on the properties for $159.63. And then we have a payment to MMI for maintenance on along Pickard there around the park benches and grounds and the trash receptacles for March. That's for $246. So we have a total accounts payable of $630.63.
Make a motion to approve the SDDA check register as presented.
Support.
Have a motion by Zalid, support by Bars, to approve the East DDA check register. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. And motion is approved.
And there were no payables for the West DDA this month, so I'll just move right on to the revenue and expenditure report for the East DDA. There was not a lot of change here except for the 3 payables that you just approved. Those were added to the line items here in the expenditure area. In the revenue area, we posted some interest earned for March, so that increased to over $8,000. Interest rates are up, and we're doing well with collecting interest in 2023 for the money that's in the accounts. And then moving on to the balance sheet for the East DDA, your total assets are about 1.8 million, and the liabilities and fund balance is about 1.8 million. Are there any questions on anything for the East DDA? If not, I'll move on to the West DDA. The only change to these financials over last month was we posted the interest earned for the West DDA bank accounts. And that's the only change to your revenue and expenditure report here for the West DDA. And then for the balance sheet, I'll just do a quick review of total assets is a little over 800,000, and the liabilities and fund balance is a little over 800,000. Are there any questions on those financials for the West DDA? Okay, I think we're all set then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So hearing no further questions, we'll let the record show the financial statements were presented, received, and filed. And in your packet on agenda item 7C, you'll see a copy of your board member matrix for your review.
May I make a comment?
Comment?
Yeah, real quick, I just want to thank the three that, new members, I guess, two coming back, and actually, Mr. Chowdhury also coming back, but it's been a little while since you've been here, so thank you for serving. But I just want to point out, we have one spot open on all of our boards currently. It's on the Sidewalk and Pathways Committee. And essentially, that committee looks at prioritization of pathways and sidewalks throughout the community, and then makes recommendation to the Planning Commission. So if you know of anybody that has an interest in that, please have them sign up.
How often do they meet?
Every 3 months or so,
Generally, yes.
quarterly. You get to work with Mr. Nanny too. I think he's there. Did I misstate?
No,
Okay, thank you.
you're correct.
Thanks, Brian. And moving on to agenda item number 8, new business. Item A, Middle Michigan Development Corporation Annual Presentation by Jim McBride.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hello, everybody. I want to, first of all, though, apologize for missing the last meeting. We had a death in my family, my younger brother, and we had just a lot of family stuff going on, and my schedule got screwed up, and I missed the meeting, and I apologize for that. I'm here with you today. So thank you for your understanding on that. We have a couple things. First of all, the annual report that you all have a copy of. And before we get into that, I want to also mention, if you can, at your own convenience, go on our website at some point. We have a running video scroll on the front page of our website. And we've added a lot more presence of Union Township just recently, so it's a much bigger presence for Union Township. So take a look at that. I think you'll enjoy that. If you take a look at pages 1 and 2, I'm going to talk a little bit about this. So in 2022, we did 161 company visits, 135 company assists. Now this 2022 is a year that we mostly focused, of course, on Isabella and Clare counties, the two counties that have traditionally been part of our organization. But as you'll see, we've added 2 more. So that'll be reflective more in the next annual report. So when you're looking at these company visits and company assists, this is almost all Isabella and Clare County. In terms of the companies we called on, they invested over $45 million in new equipment or expansion, and really a very high number of new hires at 744 new hires. But we were responsible, just our organization, for $1.2 million in grant funding just in 2022. We brought back to the area. Let me explain a little bit about that. First of all, it's just part of a running total now that's almost $7 million just since 2020. 2020 and 2021 and 2022, we did those COVID relief grants that many of our small businesses in the area received. And we were actually given more responsibility than just our 2 counties, because the state decided to just pick 15 organizations, 15 local economic development organizations across the state to distribute COVID relief grants. We were one of the 15. Saginaw Future was another one, and we're in the same region, so Joanne Prairie at Saginaw Future and I worked it out that she would just basically take Saginaw and Bay, and I would take the other 6 counties in Region 5. So that was not just Isabella and Clare, but it was also Gratiot, Midland, Gladwin, and Aranac counties. So we distributed grant monies for all those counties. A substantial amount of that money did go to Isabella County, and you know, if you talk to people like Jim Holton, he'll tell you that that money came at a very critical time for his restaurants, as you know, being shut down and all of that. So I think the important thing here is that we were one of the 15 organizations that were picked to distribute those funds. But we didn't stop at the end of COVID. We've continued to move on, very active in the Match on Main grant program. I'm going to talk a little bit about RTIG, the Regional Talent Innovation Grant, coming up. But again, this is why you're seeing so much grant activity, which if you go back, you know, go back into the earlier years of the MMDC, we never saw grant activity like this. I mean, you know, a good year might have been $100,000 in grants. We're seeing 1.2 million just in one year. So I think the reason for that is that we've worked very closely with the MEDC. We don't get any funding from the state unless it's an occasional admin for running a grant. But actually, the majority of them, we don't get an admin. We're just doing it because it's the right thing to do for our communities and our companies. So we do, you know, we're very active in that space. If you flip over to the next page, we did re-up our strategic plan, and you can see on pages 3 and 4 how we're focused. When I first came aboard in 2015, you know, I was talking with Rick Bars about this, you know, that the assumption many people have is that, you know, the only reason for the organization is to try to attract in new businesses. Well, that is what we do, but it's way smaller a focus than keeping our existing businesses healthy and happy and growing. That's really the larger picture of what we do. So we call on companies, and that's why I showed you on the earlier page here, 161 company visits in the area. So we call on our regular companies. That's the retention and expansion. And we've got a great story to go along with that. And we also do attraction and entrepreneurialism. And you can see on page 4 in the lower right corner, that's a box that we sent out to quite a number of site selectors around the country that familiarize them with our area. And we had elements from each county. We had some maple syrup from Isabella County and so on. So this is the kind of stuff we do to, you know, break the ice and let them know where we are, who we are. You know, we send these out. If you look at our mission and vision statements, you know, I think they're key. This was updated in 2022. We grow the economy with services designed to retain, expand, and attract businesses in Clare, Gladwin, Isabella, and Osceola counties to foster economic vitality and resilience in our region. Our vision is, as the primary economic development driver for business communities and industrial partners, we champion prosperity and vibrancy for Middle Michigan. And then these are the 4 strategies. But again, back on the other side on 3, you know, so not just not do we just focus on retention and expansion or attraction, but we also have been focused more and more on community development as we've been partnering with the MEDC in their community development wing to foster more community development. And that's where the Match on Main grants have come, $25,000 grants. And the talent as well, because when we call on companies, they'll tell us the number one problem they're having is finding high-quality talent and retaining high-quality talent. It's a big problem. So we're continuing to do things in that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I think if you skip, we did a focus on Highland Plastics and Shepherd, pages 5 and 6. 7 and 8, we're talking about the Match on Main wins. 9 and 10, we're talking about our first downtown pitch competition. So I want to talk a little bit about on 11 and 12, the talent focus. This is the Coming Home event that we pioneered in 2019 as a live event at Mountain Town Station. We were really almost too many people for that location. Then we got shut down, obviously, in 2020 and 2021. Came back in 2022, relocated to the Courtyard Marriott Ballroom, which can fit about 220 people. We had over 70 job seekers there and 23 employers from the area looking for people to hire. And we made a lot of those connections. And these were people that were in their senior year at Central, focused on the engineering department, the business school, health division. And we had like Hemlock Semiconductor from Saginaw come over and talk to our engineers. And pretty much all these people who attended this event got hired by one of these companies. So we're trying to keep our graduates local. We're trying to keep our young people here in the area with this effort. So this is just the beginning. We're going to be doing more stuff like this. But the location or the timing of this, we did it on homecoming, the night before homecoming, because we knew that people were coming back for CMU homecoming in October, and that was going to be well attended. So we were able to get some of the people coming back for homecoming as well as graduating seniors from Central. So it was a great event, and we'll be doing more things like this, like I said. So the training grant on page 13 and 14, I want to talk about that for a minute. This has been interesting. The state of Michigan did receive quite a bit of CARES Act and ARP dollars from the feds, and this particular bucket of money was out of the CDBG Community Development Block Grant through HUD, which is all housing related, but we were challenged to do a job training program with HUD money. Now, the problem with that is, dealing with a square peg in a round hole to some degree, and because it's HUD, they're required to fill out as much paperwork pretty much as you would for a mortgage if you're simply going to get, a 1-week job training program. So not everybody's wild about surrendering their 1040 and their W-2 and photocopies of both sides of the driver's license. But we've been able to get people to do it, and we've got this training program running right now. So it's running right now. The largest company in our area that is utilizing this program from Isabella County would be Bandit Industries. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about Bandit along the way here. But Bandit is now considered to be a Union Township-based company as well as Broomfield Township because of the April 5th big ribbon cutting and grand opening of their new location. So here's what happened. Birch Tank, which used to be there in the Enterprise Park, Birch Tank sold their operations for stainless steel tanks to Mac LTT. So we talked about this before when I was here previously, that our goal was to try to keep Mac LTT here in the area rather than have them move to Kent, Ohio. And we had a vacancy at the Mount Pleasant South Industrial Park. We were able, through an incentive through the MEDC and our efforts here locally, to keep them here. So that was great. We kept them here. But Birch Tank continued to operate a smaller operation at their location there. But from the township standpoint, we had that manufacturing building that had been put up. What are we going to do with that? Well, Bandit started talking to Birch Tank and ended up buying the rest of the business, and that's their new location. They had a grand opening on April 5th. ribbon cutting. We had Quentin Messer there from the MEDC. We had a lot of people from the state. Rodney was there to witness it. I was the master of ceremonies for that. It was a lot of fun. And what a thrill. And they've announced that when they get fully up and running at that location, they're going to be adding about 200 additional employees at that location. So these are not going to be people who are moving from Broomfield Township. These are new employees on top of what they've already got here at their main campus. And what do they have at the main campus? Well, they announced on the 5th that their employment as of that date in Broomfield Township was 769. And if you think about it, when I first came aboard this job in 2015, I mean, they were a little over 300, but you know, they weren't 400 employees. I guarantee you that. They were they were 300 and some, and they're at 769 now. That's the kind of growth that is incredible. And if you go back to what we talked about earlier, you know, if I were to try to bring in a company, you know, that was going to bring in 400 plus jobs, well, you've had that in an expansion with Bandit Industries. They've expanded by more than 400 jobs in their current location. Now they're going to add another 200. And they said on April 5th that they had over 100 open positions in their other campus, not including the 200 that they're going to try to hire. So we're talking, you know, probably looking at about 1,000 employees when they're fully up and running. That's huge, you guys. That's huge. So, you know, we're really thrilled to have them here in Union Township. But back to the training grant. So Bandit is our biggest user of this program, and they're training a lot of their people through this, you know, again, housing money initially that's been, you know, transferred over to a job training program. And we're running that. So we're cooperating with Mid-Michigan College, Delta College, and this is open to all of Region 5. So it's again, Isabella, Clare, Gratiot, Midland, Gladwin, Aranac, Saginaw, and Bay counties are all participating in this program, but we're running the program. So, you know, working with all of our colleagues in the region. So this has been a great experience for us. It's been a hard one in many respects, but we're nearing the end of it and a light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll be closing this down probably about the end of May with all the training done. So we're thrilled to have been asked to do this. You know, if you take a look at the next couple pages, you can see our increasing service area that Osceola and Gladwin counties joined us in late 2022. So just a little bit of a profile there. And this is, in both cases, they approached us, you guys. They approached us. They wanted us to come aboard and represent them and be their local economic development organization. So we were able to do that. I think if you can, this is 17 and 18, just some quotes from some of our partners that we work with. You know, very nice comments. I think on page 20, you know, My Michigan Health, which is based in Union Township, 5-star performer award they received for all of their branches. And then at the back, pages 21 and 22, you can see our sponsors and our partners. So I will just tell you that our partners, that's a smaller list, but our partners are responsible for about 70% of our revenue, and our sponsors about 30%. So even though there's a lot more sponsors, they typically support us at the $1,000 to $1,500 range, depending on what they feel comfortable with. And then the partners, though, are the larger donors. And this is how we're funded. You know, because a lot of people think, oh, they're getting money from the state. No. You know, if we get anything from the state, it's only because we've done a grant program. We did get a small admin to run the RTIG grant program. Probably not enough for the work we've done. But still, it was something. And, you know, they're paying us to run it, and we're putting a lot of time into it. But mostly, we don't get funding from the state. This is where our funding comes from. You can see our 2023 executive directors, Mark Stilldreyer. Your township manager is on not only our board, but he's on the executive committee. So, as is Rick Mars. So, got good representation there. high-quality representation. So I think I'll end with that and see if you guys have any questions.
Go ahead.
No, I know you got one, so.
We just had a question here
Sure.
a couple meetings ago on that 2022 partners,
Yeah.
like where we have them listed, you have the Charter Township, a union,
Yeah.
and my board was, I did myself, was questioning why we wouldn't have like the East DDA and the West
Oh.
DDA, or just EDA in addition to the Union Township.
We can do that, yeah.
It's funded,
Yeah.
it's
Happy
funded
to
through the
make that change.
DDAs. The DDAs fund township, I believe, isn't it?
And the township also funds.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll add, happy, Mr. Chair, to add that.
Yeah, great, we appreciate it.
Okay. But if it's okay, it'll be in the next issue.
Yeah, yeah.
You can pencil it in.
Yeah, there you go. I already did, I might.
You could write it in, but we'll put it in the next issue. That's easy.
Jim, you have quarterly meetings that you invite
Yeah.
keynote speakers from various parts of the state. These folks will all be invited, but I don't know if you have they're on the list.
I think we have, I hope we have them all. Sometimes on newly elected people or newly appointed people, it takes us a while to get them into our mailing list system, but we should have those. We do have one tomorrow. It's in Reed City. Chad Benson is our speaker. So that's at 8 o'clock tomorrow. Our annual meeting is coming up. May, it's toward the end of May. It's Wednesday in May. I think it's, we haven't promoted that yet because we wanted to get past, we didn't want to start promoting that. It's May 24th. We didn't want to promote that until we were done with the one tomorrow. We don't want to have too many out at the same time. So May 24th is our annual meeting, and that will be at the Courtyard Marriott, and you're all invited. It's a breakfast, and our former Lieutenant Governor Brian Calley is our speaker, and he's the current head of Small Business Association of Michigan. He's a great guy, a good friend of mine, and he's agreed to be our speaker. So I think that's a good one. Last year we had Quentin Messer from the MEDC. So we're trying to bring in those higher level people for the annual meeting. But we have Chad Benson tomorrow from MISTA. We'll be talking about rural housing and the issues that proposes, the challenges with rural housing, and that'll be in Reed City tomorrow morning. So, but you guys should be on our list, but I'll make sure.
It doesn't really have anything to do with this board, but has anyone from the Broadway Theater gotten with you guys about grant writing?
Yes, they did receive COVID relief grants from us.
Okay.
And I think they've been up for a match on Maine as well. I've got to see if that was last year, or not, 2021, I mean. So, but they've applied a couple of times, so they are
I know
definitely.
they have some roofing and air conditioning
Yeah.
issues that they can a fraction of what Claire got.
Yeah.
But are you in contact with
Oh, yeah,
Bill?
they're a couple doors down. Yes, we absolutely
Oh,
are in
okay,
contact.
good, thank you.
Any more questions or comments for Jim?
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Oh,
Again,
appreciate
I
it.
apologize for missing the last one.
No, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And moving on to agenda item 8B, irrigation discussion. What do we got there?
Thank you. I'm going to actually keep the seat here because I'm going to invite Randy to grab the podium so that the mic will be able to pick you up, if you would. Randy here from Teal and Turf, of course, our contractor. This was really just to get us started in talking about the future of our irrigation system along M20. Of course, as we know, the MDOT has wiped out the irrigation system on the north side of the road from the interchange west to the city line. The various contractors, various utility providers have done fair amount of damage on the south side, and they're not done yet. MDOT is going to be doing a good bit of damage when they pull the curbs out as well. So by the time we're done, in the area that MDOT is working in, I suspect we're going to largely have to replace that system entirely. We'd hope that the south side would be at least partially protected, but as I said, would be all the folks moving lines and putting up new traffic lights and such. They punched a whole lot of holes in the system on the south side. So basically, this we invited Randy to come to talk about what's possible, what can we do, and we're putting this back in. What maybe talk a little bit about some of the options, and so we can start kind of looking at what do we want to do when we put the system back in. So with that,
I guess my point of view from what I'm seeing is happening, I didn't think they were going to get into the south side like I think they're going to, but I think it's pretty much totally demolished. I mean, you can obviously see that with the new northbound lane or north lane going in. The water services are fine. You know, they're adequate to do what we need to do. I think with Tom and I, little conversation about getting the design done. I don't know if you guys are gonna want numbers on this, you know, an estimate.
I would think you would, wouldn't you? Would you want a rough estimate?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think after you and I talked, I think that's what we should have done, is get a design done. We can have Spartan irrigation or distributors do it, but that's totally up to you guys.
so perhaps one of the questions is, that I would suggest we talk about is really, what are some of the improvements that we ought to consider?
Well, there's a lot of new systems out there, Wi-Fi, where you can monitor on a computer, iPhone. You know, the decoder system's the way to go. The road commission, we just started that up again and had no issues with it.
What is the decoder system?
It's basically the same as what you had there, but it's Hunter. It's better. They've come a long ways. So.
And in terms of efficiency, is there any options there to improve things like
Water efficiency?
yeah, water efficiency,
Well,
things like being able
they're
to test
weather
for rain.
monitoring now, so yeah, they'll actually cut the watering times automatically. You can monitor on your computer. So
Would you explain cutting times automatically?
it goes by I don't really know how it works.
Oh, okay.
To be honest with you, it's fairly new, but it goes. You put in your area, and it goes by the weather senses.
So if it's raining, it's not gonna,
Yeah.
you won't drive by and see the irrigation
And-
like we have.
And that's one of the comments we've
Right.
heard from this board is, why are we watering when it's raining?
Well, sometimes it's going off on
Well, and
different times
nobody
of day,
watches
too.
it.
Right.
You guys aren't watching it.
We watch. I watch it when I drive by. And
Well, that's all I do too.
I called Randy and I
But-
said, Randy, why is the sprinklers on? Only in this area, too.
But there's nobody that actually runs them controllers unless
Right.
we get a phone call. You
Are
know?
those pretty much on a timer of some type and just?
They're just like your house, right?
Yeah.
And if the rain sensor ain't working, it's not. And the rain sensor's not a moisture sensor.
I've never
After-
seen a rain sensor work.
No.
They don't-
Well, they got to get once they collect so much
Yeah.
rain, they automatically break the neutral and shuts it down. But
I have not seen those sensors working since I had in my house. Never saw raining and they are still working.
I don't have one at my house. I just go and shut it off.
Well, all the systems you put on, Randy, at my places are all on there. But
Yeah.
they do. I have seen them work though. I've
They
seen
do
them
work,
sometimes.
but they're not
Right, they're not the best.
monitoring the soil moisture.
Right.
But as far as that said, I think we probably should. After looking at the drawings, and I mean, for us to give you a number, we're gonna have to have a drawing, unless we went back to that old drawing.
It's going to be all different. You might not even have as much grass.
Well, that's what I don't
Anymore.
Looking at them drawings, from what little I did, I can't tell what's gonna really be changed from existing to different, new, you know?
In terms of the changes or driveway changes, some driveways
Yeah.
are being relocated or removed. The main place where we're losing ground, literally, is at Isabella Road. The eastbound lane of M20 at the Isabella Road intersection, they're adding a right-hand turn lane. This will be in front of that new gas station, the Cristobal station, on the south west corner. That's the only place that they're adding a right-hand turn lane in the whole stretch. The original plan had, I think, 8, and we talked them down. We couldn't talk them out of this one, but we talked them out of the others. And so that spot we are losing ground. Everywhere else, other than moving driveways, it'll be the same width when they put it all back for the median.
Do we need to make a motion to, can you get an estimate, or what are you talking about?
A design, I think we should get a design, irrigation design done.
How,
We-
how,
Does,
5, 10,000, 20, 100?
I don't know that Spartan Distributors will charge you. If you
Oh,
buy their product,
Okay,
you buy their
There's the
product.
key.
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Whether
no,
you're buying-
And that's where we buy our product.
okay,
They're, you know,
no,
they're a big
that's fine,
company now.
that's the way it works.
I think they do a lot of design work
Yeah.
as part of their, they
Yeah.
have a design
Yeah.
team that'll go
Yeah.
out and look at an area.
Yeah,
And
they do golf courses and, yeah.
when you talk about the moisture sensor in the soil, is that
There's
a
really
lot
not
more
there's-
complex system
Yeah, and
than,
there's really not a good one out there, I don't believe. Not from what I've seen.
So what you mentioned weather monitoring, that's actually a
It's a
remote
global,
cutoff where they're checking weather patterns and
yeah,
adjusting.
yeah, it's right in the program.
Okay.
that seems to be a more efficient way to control the
I think so.
moisture
yeah.
that's not needed, the sprinkling.
I think if we go with the Wi-Fi where we can have the program, you guys can have it on our computer, we can monitor it. We can monitor it on our phone. We're walking up and down the road, we can turn on different stations, so it's gonna be, it's no more expensive either.
And the-
It's the way of the future, it's the way everybody's going.
And the lawn systems have become a lot more commercial grade equipment too, from what I can see. They've upgraded the durability and the performance of the small sprinklers, the lawn size type sprinklers, where they used to be pretty flimsy and tiny and easy to plug and easy to break.
Well, that system that existing out there has got the precision nozzles, and they were finding out that as they retract, they were sucking dirt into the nozzle. That's why we had so much problems with that nozzle. And then we were switching them back to the regular nozzles. So I definitely wouldn't go with precision nozzle again.
Sounds like a no-brainer to me. Do you need a board motion to authorize them to get a
I can
design?
definitely check in on that for you to find out what the cost.
I-
Ask them if they could look
Consensus
in,
to continue with Teal and
Yes.
Randy
Yeah, I
to
agree.
do
Get on
basically
the- yes.
a design build.
Yep.
Because, I mean, he knows the most about it, knows where everything is.
And he'll be here next
Yep.
year, and the year after, and the year after.
Maybe.
I mean, they're-
No, I'm sorry, actually, it's a 10-year commitment at least. So,
Yeah.
what I would suggest is if you are going to make a motion to that effect, to ask for the plan to prepare a cost estimate, I recommend including, just mentioning requesting the weather monitoring and the ability to monitor remotely, the system remotely. I think those are two key additions that would be very helpful going forward. So if you make them part of the motion, that makes sure that they end up in the plan.
well,
ask them
thinking-
if they can do the monitoring to determine whether or not there's a failure of any particular zone or any particular
I
elements in that
I
zone.
think they can put a flow sensor on there that'll,
So they can identify that there's a problem before it shows
Yeah,
up
it'll-
with dead plants.
yeah, it'll basically read an overflow on that zone, so then you know that you have an issue there.
Uh-huh.
So,
I wonder if it'd be worth looking into maybe two options if they would consider offering us, if they think there would be any value in two different considerations of what we would look at for their proposal, for cost and for what it might be able to
That's
provide
kind of what
us.
I'm thinking. Maybe one with some really nice automation upgrades, and then one a little more straight line.
Standard, and then options.
Yeah, just because it's gonna be expensive.
Have a standard
Then-
bid and then options available.
Yeah, 'cause
for
the-
upgrades.
But I guess what I thought I heard Randy say is that's the standard now is all the monitoring and everything.
Well, with the Wi-Fi, it is.
Yeah, with the
You
Wi-Fi.
can still go to the basic controller,
Yeah,
you know.
but I guess just being able to,
The basic controller, you're not gonna be able to run it remotely. You're gonna have to have an actual remote you hook up to it to run it.
so,
Another thing that might be important to identify is we have had problems with damage being done that falls on our responsibility when it's done because of the mapping. Was my understanding, we had mapping problems that couldn't identify where everything was. So that would be a big part of it, and
Yeah, there was-
how we can qualify whether it was somebody else's responsibility to repair that and,
Yeah.
and put it back to where it should be.
Yeah, there was never an as-built drawing done of it, so the drawing you have is what was proposed, and that's all we have.
So that will be important, though.
Yeah.
So we'd like to get this into the
is
basic system.
that extra to get one of those?
No, I should.
As-bills, O&M manuals, training, that should be warranty, all that should be
Yeah.
built right into a global proposal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it should be standard. I mean, we've always done as-built, you know, on our projects, but these
well,
other
it's like,
companies
and
never have.
then we can have the discussion whether we want to put that irrigation system in the MISTIG system.
So we do have, by the way, timing-wise, we do have time to talk about this, maybe think about it, and we could just put this on as an agenda item next month for you to actually take an action in terms of providing the direction
Yeah.
we're talking about.
Do you have enough direction, Randy, to come back with a proposal for the next board meeting?
I can talk to Sparta and see, get them on board. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, we
And if-
definitely have time, so.
And if they would be interested, they're welcome to come in and do a presentation too. We'd like to invite them here if they're
Yeah.
interested in doing that.
They can even do that remotely if they need to,
Sure.
if that makes it more convenient.
Yeah, that would be a John Andrus thing. I could talk to him. He's busy this time of year because he does do
Yep.
running around to golf courses, getting the pump stations going and stuff, little repairs.
Yeah, but in terms of the timing, the MDOT project is going to likely last right up until mid-November. That's November 15th, of course, is our cutoff, but they're anticipating getting very close to that cutoff, which means it's unlikely we're going to be able to do a whole lot unless we have another winter like we had this year. There's no way to plan for that. It's unlikely we're going to be able to do a whole lot out there until spring of '24 anyway. Going to save on water this year.
Will there be any functioning system this year, or are we pretty much
I think we
done?
can keep the east side of the overpass going.
Basically,
So in front of the water park
Most of that's
and
just
Home
cement.
Depot. 2 taps.
Yes, Dave will take care of it for you, just,
I go to Home Depot a lot.
Yeah. I don't think they're gonna tear that portion up, are they?
not
no,
this year.
they've torn up as far as, they did tear up right at Home Depot, of course, with the intersection, they're putting in new traffic signals, but they're not going any further east of that.
Then years after that, they're gonna do from like Crapo's to Mission, aren't they?
That's correct.
City side, yeah.
But that's not, that's in the city, right?
No, it's in the city, yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with us.
And tentatively, as we talked about, they're planning on 2026 to come back and do those roundabouts in the interchange that they did not, that they dropped from this project,
At the highway?
at the highway.
That's a
I guess, okay, so we have a bunch of ideas tossed around, do we come up with a conclusion what we're looking for? I just wanted to get a better idea. Just a couple options, is that what it's about? Or just,
I want to say probably their recommended most best fit. And I think we need to see kind of some global numbers here, where this is all heading.
Yeah, I
Because
agree.
I'm also seeing, I mean, this is probably going to have to be done in 2 phases too, right? Because because the whole project is right 2 summers, right?
Well, they'll be out of the township this year, so the rest of it will be in the city. So we will have that
Okay.
area back.
Right on.
But
All right.
like I said, we don't get it back until mid-November. In terms of the items, just kind of listed me here that we talked about was weather monitoring and cutoff during weather events, the ability to monitor the system remotely, flow sensor monitoring and cutoff for leaks, providing as-built drawings, providing manuals, and providing training. Those were the 6 items I have noted that we identified as kind of key to the project, to any future project. Do we want to talk about efficiencies? I mean, I sort of asked about water efficiency. Any better systems for that?
I don't really think you're gonna find anything better. I mean, I don't think you wanna go to that precision nozzle that's supposed to save a percentage of water, because all it was is a headache. It wasn't working, you know.
So you're thinking that basically our best efficiency is just simply have better monitoring?
Yeah, I really do. Yeah.
California. Not California.
I mean, once they get acclimated to the entire area I mean, we have like planting areas too, right? That we have the smaller trickle
Yeah, drip and the
subsurface.
hanging plants, yeah. And those can all be in a separate program to run more or less often. Gonna be more often, obviously. Hanging
And then they
plants
can
are
do, like, far as efficiency, once we give them all the areas that we're gonna irrigate, then you guys come up with the sub-zones of each
Yeah.
one, and then they come up with, backflow prevention and all the different valving and automation.
We shouldn't have to touch the backflow prevention or taps, any of that.
All right.
They're gonna be good. The boxes are still good.
So Mike, in terms of timing, as I'll talk about under director comments, you actually have a busy agenda next month. So my thought is that whatever we do with this, we're probably going to be bringing it back in June anyway. So we have a little time. Like I said, if we want to, you don't necessarily have to do a motion today. You can think about this a little further if you'd like. If we can simply have an item on the agenda next month, it can kind of put all this stuff together into a kind of a recommended motion that you can look at and add to if you want to, with the idea that we're going to try to bring something back in June.
Yeah, that sounds good. I was thinking we just do a consensus to proceed with Randy and Thielen
Yes.
to get this homework done ahead of time. He can be working on this with his preferred suppliers and get us something in 2 meetings for discussion.
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So consensus?
You agreed?
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right, just let the record show.
One other thought that might be something to consider from their perspective, what would be a life expectancy for this system to look at? If you're buying a new vehicle, you're thinking, okay, this vehicle is gonna last me a number of years at this performance level before I start having to put some repair dollars. But I'm just thinking of because it's gonna be a big number, that might have some relevance to how long this system would be functional as a productive product. Piping, heads, different things like that, just because they're in that industry where they know what type of lifespan this system may have. If we have more than one proposal, maybe that would be a good measuring tool as well.
I think your biggest problem that we've had down there is the construction damage. And then as soon as that happens, they hit that main, stones, gravel, sand, we're fighting bugs. That's our biggest problem.
I think there'll be like manufacturer, right, warranty on
Standards, yeah.
product, but on that, but you just reminded me of another good thought. We need to come up with a good maintenance program. I remember the one year, I don't
Right.
think we winterized it, and so that didn't help, you know?
Right.
So, it's like,
Yeah, according to their industry standards of maintenance and upkeep and doing things according to their industry, this could last 50 years,
sure.
maybe 30. I just think it's a good number to know. They have a lot of that information of what you can expect the system to be producing for.
They last a long time.
Sure.
I think.
We won't be here when it's replaced, I don't think.
I've been doing it 35 years now, and I haven't went back to a customer and replaced one yet. Maybe sprinkler heads and stuff, but not a whole system.
Yeah.
Poly pipe's a lot better. PVC pipe's better. You wanna get really fancy, you can go to HDP, high density polyethylenes, what all the golf courses are doing now. Using, I would.
Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
No.
If not, we'll move on to agenda item number 9. The pending business. Anything there?
Nothing today.
Moving on to item 10, director comments.
First of all, thank you for coming today. I appreciate it. Appreciate you. Yeah, we're all set. We're all done at this point.
Sounds good, I appreciate it.
Thanks
guys.
again.
Thanks, Randy.
Don't forget-
Jackie.
So we have one item note under director comments. I have actually 3 more that have come up just in very, very recent times. One of which you have just for your reference tonight. First of all, the digital imaging of historical East DDA and West DDA documents. We have been we had budgeted now for a couple of budget cycles. Money the board has set aside for digitizing all the files in our basement. We have a lot of files down there: building permits, construction plans, meeting minutes, all sorts of documents. Unfortunately, some of which were damaged or lost during the 2017 flood. We've upgraded our storage down there, so we don't have that potential, hopefully again, but nonetheless, there's a lot of material down there that is challenging to be able to get at when we need it. For example, FOIA requests. We often have requests for information on a property that requires to go down and pull the right box and do the physical hunt. And scan that information. We have an opportunity to digitize that. In what we found in moving through this process and researching the options is we discovered that the state of Michigan actually has a preferred contractor for this. They went through a competitive bidding process and identified a company called Graphic Sciences that they recommend. The Office of Management Budget recommends to local governments to handle digitizing of documents. They're familiar with our BSNA software, which, for example, we have the BSNA building module that helps us manage all of our building permit and planning and zoning applications. Our assessing module that, of course, has our property records in it. So the database that underlies these modules is filled with these kinds of historical documents. And so the goal is to take what we have downstairs that is not digital. Everything in more recent years is digital. But these older files, we want to bring them, digitize them, get them out of the basement, because once they're digital and saved in our system, we actually don't have to keep the originals anymore. So we can clear out that material from the basement and have much better access to that material going forward. So this is just to let you know, we did receive a preliminary cost estimate. We had a meeting with folks from Graphic Sciences. March 30th, they went through, Amy has been very predominant in getting this done and working with them. We went through the basement, they cataloged everything we have down there, and put some preliminary numbers together. We have a substantial amount of information, historical information, for both the east and west DDA districts. All the old files, minutes and such are there. There's actually just under $21,000 worth of work to digitize that, according to the estimate provided by Graphic Sciences. So I just want to make you aware of it. We'll be at some point coming to you to look at putting that into the budget. As we're looking at how to proceed with this, right now it's just doing the research. The company's going to come in and do a couple of test scans for us so we can see what their results are, their product is, and talk about the details of that. We will eventually be coming also to our Board of Trustees with a request for budget amendment related to this as we finalize things. I can tell you right now we're tentatively looking at scanning the building permits and the planning and zoning elements, construction plans, site plans and such, this year. And we'll probably scan the rest of the material, including the EDA material, in 2024. So we sort of spread the cost around a little bit. So I just want to make you aware of it. At this point, we don't have a need for an action. And I suspect that what we'll be looking at is including this in the 2024 budget to cover that cost. So I don't know if you have any initial questions now, I'm happy to answer them. We'll have more as we go forward.
I like it. I know I've talked to a couple board members over the years where things like the as-built drawings for the irrigation system. You know, I know we bought them, paid them. I remember using them, and then all of a sudden, 6 years later, or 10 years later, nobody knew. So, and actually, I thought at one time we'd even consider putting an effort like this in our East and West DDA master plan items, where I thought we would actually construct some kind of a archival storage closet in one of the halls or areas in this building. But it sounds like this would be perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah, keep it going.
All right, so I had more to come on that one. So talking about the item that you have before you, this sheet from J-Rank Electric, for just a moment. This is hot off the presses. I met with them yesterday morning. I've been meeting, of course, as you know, fairly regularly with the folks from MDOT and the contractors that are involved in the M20 road project. We had a surprise a few weeks ago when our streetlights on the south side of the road disappeared. The last version of the plan that I saw, those streetlights were going to remain in place, and because they were outside of the area that they were going to be impacting. On the south side of the road, they're going to be taking the curb out and the under drain behind it, so they're coming into, when I last saw the plan, about 2 feet into the grass median with their work. At some point after the last version of the plan I saw, which often happens with MDOT, a change was made, and I think this was driven by the contractor's concern about damaging those streetlights with equipment in the area, and so they made the decision to take them out. And so those have all been removed. Well, when they did that, it exposed the foundations, and that it certainly gave us a chance to take a look at the foundations, take a look at the mounting bolts and brackets and such, and the wiring. And what we found was not the best. If you go out there and take a look, first of all, you see a lot of rust on the mounting bolts. You see a lot of rust on the bracket. And you'll actually see in a number of cases that the wiring is not running through the foundation, through the conduit in the foundation as it was designed to do, but instead is actually running on the outside of the foundation. I'm not sure why, I'm not sure how that happened, but certainly the J-Rank Electric and the general contractor for the project have expressed concerns about putting these lights back on those foundations. And I don't disagree with them. I had to give them a substantial amount of grief for removing the fixtures, and of course, as well, it was on the plan, they insisted. And I said, well, you didn't protect the foundations. They've been exposed to the weather, the snow, the rain, the freeze cycles and such were going on for a few weeks in March. But essentially, they are correct that in a fair number of the cases, these deteriorated in place, and there are a couple of cases where the foundation itself appears to be off kilter. So it is. What we have is we have an opportunity to get both sides of the road done, but we're going to have to pay for the south side. Is essentially what this proposal that you have here, this estimate from J. Rank Electric. They are the electrical contractor for the M20 road construction. They're doing the whole project. They removed our lights on the north side. They're going to be putting them back for MDOT. They removed our lights under the bridge. They're putting those back for MDOT. Those are not cost items to us. Of course, they're doing all the traffic lights and such. But MDOT is not willing to do the south side. So what we have here is just, as I said, I asked them to give me an idea. In fact, this is less. The original thought was $195,000. They went back and looked at the numbers again, and more specifically, after my meeting with them on Monday morning, and this came to me. It's just hot off the press. I think arrived in my email box this morning. So I'm not asking for an action tonight. What we would do is we would bring this back to you with a request for board action at your next meeting, and ask you for you to consider it. The main thing I want to kind of just maybe get some consensus on is your comfort level with allowing J. Rank to do this without taking this out for a competitive bid. We said, of course, MDOT had a competitive bid process to ultimately select the J. Rank Electric to do the work for the overall project, and they are giving us the exact same rate that they giving to MDOT to do the north side. But because of the amount and because we do normally do a competitive bid process, I'm going to check on your comfort level related to that.
Will this be the same type of work that's gonna be done on the north side? What's the condition of those foundations?
Yeah, they are. Yes, it would be exactly the same. They duplicate what they're doing on the north side, and as part of the reinstallation on the north side, for example, although they're not running our irrigation lines, they are providing conduit for our irrigation lines that run into those fixtures.
So the north sides are already gone.
The north side's all gone. Yeah.
So that'll be all new too.
Yeah. So that'll be all, and they're putting in the in-ground boxes for servicing the panel boxes. All of that will be put back. All the wiring will be new, and they would do the same thing on the south side. All the wiring would be new through the system, as well as the new foundations, new ground boxes. The whole system would be the same as what they're doing on the north side.
But the cost-wise, it will be the same?
Yes, they're charging exactly
Because
the same rate.
on other side, they have digged already. So that's the part of that cost.
Yeah, as you see, the first item on here, item A on this list, this April 17th, is foundation removal for 20 street lights. That's a $5,000 item. So they would be coming in and removing that. As said, as part of that, they're also removing the wiring in between the lights. This, by the way, will pretty much finish off our irrigation system on the south side of the road, which is, as you heard from Randy, it's substantially damaged, more than we'd hoped.
Well, it's kind of good though. That sprinkler system's not very good anyway. So they're taking it. They're helping us.
Right.
So get rid of all that.
Right.
You're gonna have a brand new road, and paved and everything. It's gonna really, in 2 years we'll have it all paved.
Right.
And so you might as well do it right.
We still have the same light poles though? They save those or?
So all the light poles are currently stored. You can actually, if you want to visit them, over at J. Rank Electric's yard, they have 4 shipping containers, 40-foot shipping containers are stacked up 2 on 2, and all of our fixtures are in there. One of the items that I frustrated MDOT greatly about was I insisted they be stored inside. They wanted to just put them in the yard, and I said, no, they're out of the weather, out of the way of animals and all that kind of thing. So they are all in 4 shipping containers at their facility right now.
So originally, it sounded like they didn't have room for all the fixtures, right? There were some that you said were outside of those containers.
Right, that
So
was
they-
only
they-
because they hadn't gotten them in yet. Those
okay.
were some additional ones that they took out. There were, for example, there were some lights behind the park benches, so the shorter lights, that they initially weren't going to remove and then decided to remove. again, be out of concern about potential damage. So those are the ones that were sitting
Right.
outside when I saw them that day.
And MDOT didn't want us dealing with the irrigation till they're all done. I get that.
Right.
But this are, the timing wise, because it's the contractor doing the north side, they're willing to have this be part of the project, meaning done by November 15th?
So this, you know, this is one of the reasons to coordinate with J-Rank Electric, is because they can coordinate with the MDOT project. For example, right now, or within the next month, is the best time to remove those foundations, because they already have the lane closed for some other things. Basically, very soon after, they're going to be tearing up the right-hand lane, heading the eastbound lane, because they're going to be, that's where they're going to be putting the new storm sewer. And so there's an opportunity almost immediately to take those foundations out. And then what will happen is J-Rank Electric will coordinate with the contractor in terms of being able to put those fixtures back in as part of the project. It will simply be incorporated in the overall project. They were talking about potentially the south side fixtures being able to come back in June. We'll see on that, but that was the discussion Monday, but it was very tentative. So.
Yeah, I guess I was just trying to make clear that this was not an after the fact thing. This is, they're coordinating with MDOT as a whole to make this all part of the big project.
That's correct. And actually, one of the items I brought up to MDOT, talking about foundation removal, I said, I can't bring this to, unless we have a special meeting, I can't bring this to my EDA board until the May meeting. And you really need to have these foundations out before that. And so I encouraged the MDOT manager, TSC manager, to find the money to pay for the foundations to be removed. He said he would work on that. We'll see. I'm hoping that he will be successful in finding the money. He basically has to go back to his funders, which in this case is the federal government, to verify they're comfortable with that, and being able to use some of the money to do this extra step. I expect he'll be successful. So that may actually reduce this cost a little bit more if MDOT pays for that and allows that part of the project to move forward immediately.
Okay, just so I understand, J-Rank Electric is the electrical subcontractor to K&R, who is the prime contractor.
That's correct.
So they are already on the project, it's their project. That being said, it's a no-brainer. You cannot, in my experience, put somebody else in there. We don't really have a choice. I'm assuming that the pricing here is based from their contract with the highway department.
That is correct.
That these numbers are unit price contracts there. The one item I don't see on here, which I would think would be a line item, is removal, storage, and replacement of the existing light poles.
Well, that has been taken care of by MDOT.
Okay, thank you.
That's not our
That's I am not a fan of generating work by claiming that it's convenient or it's inconvenient, and not even talking to the owner and then showing up with, oh, here's your bill, because we were inconvenienced, is BS. So if they're gonna remove and replace the poles, then it's something, so,
Yeah.
thank you. But I support it. I mean, they're a quality company, they're local, and they're already on site, so I'm trying to put in, say Black Electric, they're great people too, but that's not what they do, so.
And we'd be looking at next year probably.
Whatever, it's, put it under the contract, get it done, so when they're done, it's all done. And there's something to be said about it being all new, and, because the next question is, you got irrigation, you're gonna have to replace, when it's all done, and my question would be, is how many times they're really gonna hit the existing wiring, and how long are they gonna come back and fix stuff and patch and make it work, so.
Well, they'll have a plan now where the wires are, and they'll know where to put the sprinklers.
That is the other
So
benefit.
they'll have a plan.
And we're gonna digitize those plans, right?
That is correct. That's one of the benefits of also.
They're already digitized, so.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, the key is beyond digitizing, is setting them up so they can be in the misting system. And that's one of the things that will also benefit here, is that we will have the ability to
Yep.
put the streetlights into the misting system. So, but my impression is there's a consensus to move forward with this path.
We wouldn't take.
time constraints, we pretty much cannot bid it. We pretty much have to, because.
Right.
in
It was
order
hard
to get-
It's the best way
in
to
order-
go.
There's no
You're not
chance
gonna
of
bring
bidding it
anybody
out
else
without
in there.
delaying everything so
And-
long, there's no way.
Well, unfortunately, we'd have no ability to have that other contractor be on site in the same work area. That's the challenge.
Yep, so I mean, there really is no option.
Well,
I think you have a
and,
choice.
and the other thing about the competitive bid is these numbers are not just generated after the fact, after the bid.
Right.
These are what they bid when they
For the
bid the
other side.
original contract, so
Right.
it's as fair a price as you're gonna get, you know.
Is there any need to wait till the next meeting? This is gonna be the.
Well, we
I don't-
didn't, we
what do
don't
you-
have it on the agenda. That's the only challenge.
That's right.
So-
You gotta give notice and.
Yeah, we need to make sure it's on the agenda. And-
Okay.
And they were, as I said, they understood. I let them know that the timing was not going to work out for this meeting. But, so they're certainly understand this would be on the May agenda for a formal action. So, but that, I will bring it back to you for the May meeting with a request for board action.
I mean, we'll, in the May meeting, we'll just approve it, and you can call them before the meeting's over. So
Exactly.
they can get those things out of it.
Well, it's their problem anyway, so
Yeah.
if they gotta spend a little extra to go back, I don't know why we need to jump through hoops to convenience them for something that they cost.
So one other item on the streetlights, and this one is also in process for doing some research on. It has been.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, Amy Peak has been doing some research on. The comment was made that a number of the streetlights, that the paint is in pretty poor condition near the ground. It's primarily salt damage. And the suggestion was, while they're off-site, that we look at having them painted. So I've had Amy doing some research for companies that do that sort of work, looking at having them cleaned and preferably powder coated if we can for durability, but nonetheless have them painted before they come back. So that's another item that we may have for you. As I said, right now we're just looking for companies that do that work. If you're familiar with anybody that's in that realm, feel free to let me know. Send me an email, and we'll make sure
Are
that.
they aluminum or steel?
Those are cast, actually.
Cast iron.
Yeah.
They're cast.
Seem to be
Heavy duty.
Aluminum, you don't need to paint aluminum, I believe.
Well, no, aluminum will corrode,
Yeah, so they want to.
so it's good they're cast, I guess.
But that'd be a job we'd have to do anyhow sometime down the road.
Yeah.
So you're saying while
Better
they're
to do
down
it
and they're
before.
easy to get to rather
Yeah.
than.
Right.
They're already.
that-
Easier to work on, they can probably blast and powder coat them.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna-
Nice, like they're shipping containers, pick up the shipping container, take it to your facility, bring it back.
Right.
So yeah, there is an opportunity there while they're down to
Right,
do
good.
that. Yeah. Any other questions on that item?
Sounds good.
So another item, as I said, May is going to be a busy meeting. Please prepare for it. We just today completed an application, our first application for our grant program. Mid-Valley Structures over on Pickard Road is looking to improve their sign, and they have put an application in, so you see that. So I just got it today, the last detail we needed. So you'll see that for your next agenda. And the other item, I would encourage you to stop by the airport, because the crew car over there, our courtesy vehicle that we helped to fund, has its vinyl wrap, has all been completed. The Just Fab Graphics folks on Pickard Road, Pickard Street actually, they are, did the work, and it is really quite stunning. So go over and take a look and admire the job. It's a great addition to the airport. It has proved to be very, very popular among the flight crews and has been used substantially for letting them come in and enjoy our business community. So thank you for that support, and like I said, go take a look at it. It's worth the trip. Those are all the items I had for director comments. Is there any questions or anything else?
Comment, don't you want to give a plug for the care store?
Absolutely.
You mentioned that.
But you have to come up here.
I can do that. So I don't know if you saw in the paper, Union Township had partnered with the Care Store and the Strickler Center. And they are we are taking donations. I don't know if you saw the boxes in the lobby. laundry soap, toilet paper, hygiene products. It's through May 5th, and we're welcoming anybody to bring in anything for that. Anything that's not covered under a bridge card for Isabella County residents.
That's a
So,
great
and they
program.
earn these care store dollars by going to partnering agencies with the care store, and they earn these dollars, and then they can shop inside the store. It's kind of cool. So,
It's a great program.
It
I've
is.
been over there helping doing this remodeling and whatever, but
we're actually going, Tara and I are going on Friday to do a tour, next Friday, to do a tour.
look at the toilet paper holders and the casings I built those.
So feel free to drop anything in the box. We welcome them. Thanks for.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah, please do that. We'd love to have a mountain
Oh, nice.
of material there. I will say that there has been at least one donation that was made to basically ask Amy and Tara to buy the products, and so it was a cash donation. Don't recommend that, not that, but that is an option if you choose. And just work with Amy Peak and Tara Green from our office on that. But the best thing would be to simply pick up some items while you're out shopping, pick up a few extra, and if you would, just drop them off here. As I said, help us build a mountain of that material that we can take over to the care store.
We've actually had quite a few residents drop, so it's been kind of cool to see.
Excellent. Anything else? Hearing nothing else, we can call the meeting adjourned, 5:47. Thank you.